Call to order. This is the joint general government subcommittee town council meeting, Wednesday, January 22nd, 2025, 7 p.m. Veterans Meeting Room. Agenda number 2, roll call. Can we? Can't close the door. Can't close the door. Can we? All right.
But they can kick them out.
Get out.
Agenda item number 2, roll call. Councilor Chenier.
Here.
Councilor Dow.
Here.
Citizen member Clements.
She is at the Selfridge Business Partner and was unable to attend this evening.
Citizen member Julian here. Council member Kelly, me, I'm here, and we have a quorum. So, agenda item number 3. Review and discuss authorizing the Town and Airport Commission to proceed with applying for a grant through Massachusetts Department of Transportation Aeronautic Division and Federal Aviation Administration for the design and construction of a new 6-unit T hangar at an estimated cost of $1,384,000 and $1,384,418 with an estimated cost to the town of Southbridge of $83,844. Town match for project to be funded through the Airport Revolving Fund number 80390. Authorize the town manager to execute all grants and contracts associated with the hangar project. Entertain a motion to town council to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Town manager.
Thank you. I have the airport manager and John Henry. John Henry is from Stantec. He does all our engineering.
Gentlemen, how are you?
The airport has had a capital plan. I'll let them explain the capital plan. This project is one that's become available to build and construct a new 6-hangar T hangar. I think which is similar to the
Nested T hanger, yeah.
Yeah, which is next to the similar to the one that's already up there. And Mr. Clements, who is the airport commissioner, was unable to attend this evening. However, Ron, the airport manager, is here. We fully support this project. I think it's one that's been on the books for a while. When we talked about funding, the airport does have the revolving fund. They have adequate funds into it. So we would recommend using the revolving fund to pay the town match. And of course, that's over a period of time anyway. The rents that would be received from these T hangars would increase revenue to the substantially on a monthly basis to the town. People are looking for these indoor T hangars. It would be an additional revenue, which would certainly build back up the revolving fund over a period of time. So I'll turn it over to them for the presentation of what this would be and the location.
Yeah, thanks, Jack. As Jack alluded to, there's a capital improvement plan for the airport. The next targeted project was intended to be this apron. The FAA, that requires FAA discretionary funds, which aprons are a lower priority than runways, taxiways, safety areas. So they informed us that there would not be any discretionary funding until 2027 or 28. And because of that, there was the airport has had a bank of AIP funds, which is Airport Improvement Project, and bill money, the bipartisan infrastructure law money. And the first year of that money was set to expire, so we needed to find a project that was suitable for the airport. So we worked with Mass DOT, the FAA, and came up with doing a second hangar, which fits into, this is just a snapshot of the master plan, so it's within the master plan. Part of the CIP, it was just intended to be later. Part of the intent of the bill money is to create revenue generating properties at the airport. So this is in line with FAA bill intentions. So the total FAA portion of this project would be just over $1 million, $1,048,000. The state is kicking in $252,574. Of course, these are estimated funds based on our estimated construction value. And then based on those shares, the FAA bill money and the AIP money, the town is on the hook for 5% local match, and the MassDOT ASMP, Airport Safety and Maintenance Program grant, is an 80-20 split, so the town's on the hook for 20% of that. But long story short is, for a 1.3 million, almost a 1.4 million dollar hangar, the town is local share is 83,844, which is that's a great percentage. Other airports would love to be in this position to be able to build a hangar, revenue generating hangar for that small portion. So the existing hangar that's out there right now is right here, shown on this map right here. And the next hangar is it's going to be kind of a hybrid of this and this, just one single hangar right next to it. So this is kind of a play of that. So still in the concept phase, but we need to get the funding approved so we can do our design, which is the first grant here. So that's the design only grant, which we sent our contract to the town, and hopeful that you guys will approve that so that we can start the design and submit the grant applications and keep the project moving.
Councilor Dow?
Thank you, Chair, to you. 84, almost 84,000, that's the 20 plus the 5, so 25%? Or the 84 just the 20%?
It's less than, if you do the math, it's less than 25% because it's 20% of a $200,000 and it's 5% of these larger numbers here, almost $1 million. So it's
Okay, one more question to the town manager, through you, Chair. You guys have idea where the 84,000 is coming, or we have it available?
Yeah,
Or?
it's coming, the airport, because of they generate revenue, they have a revolving fund. So that revolving fund has been building up over time. So,
So we're not gonna look for any,
it's not coming out of any of our capital expenses or
or
anything
for any
like that.
heavy on a residence tax or
No,
anything?
No, it's simply all the revenue that come in, for the sale of fuel, the rental of the buildings, the rental of the hangars that we currently have.
Okay.
So I think this is good use of the money.
Yeah, thank you.
Councilor Cheney?
Where's this hangar going, next to the new one that's there now?
Yeah,
In back of
correct.
it?
Right on the side of it. Going south,
Okay. And how many planes gonna be able to go in there?
6.
6?
Nice.
And then there's room for expansion for other hangars there in the event? So,
Yep.
okay. I used to be on the airport commission over for about 10 years,
Oh, okay.
on the Steve Langley days,
But I think Rick said that they charge $375 per month
right?
for
Something
those
like
hangars,
Yeah.
correct?
330.
this one might be larger though. I think the intent was maybe to get more for a larger
He thought that
space.
you could
Yeah.
get $375 per month on that, so roughly, 6 hangars is approximately a little over $2,000 a
It'll
month.
pay for itself in a
It'll pay
little
us
over 3 years.
3 years it'll pay for itself.
And your company does a lot of work, I'm not gonna say pro bono, but before there's even money available.
Yes, with the hopes that we will get paid, which
Right.
we always have. The FAA is good for their money, and so is the town. So
Yeah.
we haven't had a
It's
problem
never
yet.
happened, but
Yes.
I mean, sometimes you're on the hook for a lot of money.
Yeah.
But
But John Henry, they were very, great working with us. We had
Right.
that money last minute to do the fence project that we completed all the fence around. His company did that. That was a project that we pulled together very, very quickly.
That was a quick one. That was a collective effort from all of us.
With
So that
big
was,
protests and everything, and we're able to get
Yes.
it done. That's $1 million plus project.
when is the plan to go out for bid?
it would be, we need to have our bids in hand for a May 1st grant deadline. So we would go out to bid in April and,
So you would start construction midsummer?
yeah,
Good.
roughly. We'll have to work those out, but that's generally the schedule.
Good job.
Okay.
Anybody else? Just a quick technical question. What is a T hanger versus just a plain hanger?
Plane hangar is just a a square.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Screw it in the ground.
T hanger is, it's like this,
Okay.
and then the other one is back to back. That's a nested T hanger, so you can put one plane facing this way, so each has their own individual stall versus one big open space where you got to kind of
Right.
shuffle planes around to get in and out. So it's like having your own private garage for your plane.
I did have the opportunity to go with Mr. Pacelli flying, and he has a T hangar on one of the existing ones. It's a very nice space that well maintained.
You rent out Lloyd Pope's old hangar?
What's that?
You rent out Lloyd Pope's old
Yeah,
hangar?
the mechanic is in that one.
So what happened to the mechanic?
Which one?
Where's the first one? Is that avionics?
No, the first one is airplane detailing,
Oh, okay.
New England Detail.
All right. So you're all
It's
rented
another
and-
business.
Yeah.
So everything's rented and
Everything's
funds
rented.
are filling in your revolving.
And I got a
Great.
waiting list.
Great.
And I have a waiting list.
Any further discussion? Not? All those in favor?
Thank you.
All right.
Carries.
Good work.
Thank you, man.
If possible, John comes all the way from Wyndham, Maine.
Right.
Do you have any need for him to be at the council?
I don't,
meeting?
I wouldn't think so, right?
You all good?
No, you're good. Thank you.
And will Rick be back then anyway?
He may be back, but
End of the week. right?
How far from Abbott, Winter, Maine?
Abbott
From,
Labs?
Yeah,
Um.
Abbott, Maine, yeah.
Oh.
Moosehead Lake.
Oh, probably 2.5 hours. About halfway between here and there.
Yeah, yeah.
so if he does not need to be here,
I appreciate that.
Thanks, yeah, thank you.
thanks,
Yeah,
John.
thanks for the support.
Appreciate it.
Agenda item number 4, review and discuss the Southbridge Retirement Board's recommendation to increase the retirees' COLA base pay from $14,000 to $18,000 effective July 1st, 2025. Entertain a motion to recommend to Town Council for approval.
So,
Second.
Motion by Chenier, second by Dow.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Chair, I just want to make a disclosure that I'm a member of the retirement board, and under the ethics rules, I'm allowed to discuss and vote on this because it's an agenda item that affects multiple people, not just me. They did tell me to disclose that.
Thank you for the disclosure.
Thank you. So, members of the retirement board are here this evening to discuss this proposal. I know, Chairman, you had sent me an email that you had an inquiry by former Councilor Steves that said this was already voted on. I provided you some of that information.
Yes.
I will include it in the packet for Monday night as well. Back in May of 2022, the retirement board at that time, we had a motion to vote to approve the retirement recommendation to increase the COLA at that time from 12,000 to 16,000. There was a lot of discussion at that time. I think I, as council, didn't really understand the concepts. I think at this point, but we did, instead of going from 12 to 16, we had reduced it to 14,000 at that time. So we did not go to the 16,000. So the retirement board is here tonight to talk about the recommendation and how that affects. There is no cost to the town budget, so they'll explain how this works. It's, now, if I could, Will Canoyer is here, Michelle, Pam Leduc, and Yolanda, who are all part of the Southbridge Retirement Board.
So I'm Will Canoyer, I'm the chairman of the retirement board. I'm here with Michelle, Pam Leduc, and Yolanda Alvarado, who's our administrator. We discussed this in length in our retirement board meeting, and we voted unanimously to present it to you guys. So before I go into the specifics, let me tell you a little bit about the retirement board, because it's a little, I wouldn't say mysterious, but if you don't know what it does and the things about it, it's kind of a mystery. So right now we have 193 active retirees in the system. There are, including George, there are 390 active employees. The average age of our retirees is 73.3, and the average pension is $28,751. So that's just a little baseline. So why are we here tonight? By law, we're allowed to grant up to a 3% COLA every year, no matter what inflation is. If inflation is 9%, like it was a few years ago, up to a 3% COLA. But we can only do that on the base amount, which was $12,000. The law allows us to increase that, with your approval, up to $30,000. But the cost is high, so we're not approaching you with that. What we're looking to do is increase the base amount of the COLA from $14,000 to $18,000. What that means is, as I said, the average pension is $28,000. Well, the only amount of that average person that is subject to the COLA is the first $14,000 currently. So if we grant a 3% COLA to somebody who has a $28,000 pension, that only applies to the first $14,000. So 3% of 28,000, 28 is double 14. So it's really a 1.5% COLA. That's all they can get because of that base amount. What we'd like to do is increase that $14,000 base amount, subject to the COLA, to $18,000. A few years ago, the town of Webster increased it to $18,000. I believe the Worcester County Retirement Board, which handles the pensions of Sturbridge, Dudley, Charlton, many of the communities around here, I believe they're $18,000 as well. So just a few other things. In the last year, we have an evaluation done by PERAC, who's the Public Employee Retirement Administration Commission, a state quasi-agency. They increased our valuation by $5.7 million. So what that means is, and one of the ways that happened was our investments went up substantially in value, and there was a higher amount of turnover in Southbridge than they anticipated. So a lot of older employees, not older, more seasoned and people in the system who had years left the system. Okay? Some other interesting things that you should know about. In 2012, there was the Chapter 176 provisions. It was the reforms. And so anybody new who went into the public system, their rules after 2012 have changed. So the full retirement age with the maximum benefit has changed from 65 years old to 67 years old. So that means their liability to the system is less than the older people. Let's see. As of January 1, 2024, 302 members of that 380 that I originally said, they're the newer members, so their cost to the system is less. Okay? Let's see. There's just a couple other little tidbits I'm going to go into, and then Pam Leduc, who's a former accountant here, she's going to handle the financials because she's a little better at that than I am. Sorry, Pam. So we were originally scheduled. So over the years, the town most cities and towns in the state hadn't fully funded their pensions. It was all just the employee contribution that was a part of it. And somewhere along the line, I can't recall when, the state required that there's a large liability out there if the pension system isn't fully funded. So they came up with a schedule. All pension systems had to be fully funded by 2040. Town of Southbridge, our goal was 2035, which we were originally scheduled to be fully funded by. But because of our strong investments and a very conservative strategy on schedules and pretty much all the things the board handles, we're now scheduled to be fully funded in 2032. So a big part of the money that's appropriated every year is that unfunded liability, and once we reach that full amount, once we reach full funding in 2032, the appropriation will drop down to, I wouldn't say pay as you go, but to the actual cost of the benefit every year, which is probably somewhere in the 50% of what we pay now. It varies, but I think it'd be safe to say that's kind of the amount. Pam, would you like to assist me on the rest of it? Please.
No, but
Misery loves company.
Hi. I'm Pam Leduc, if you don't know who I am. So as Will did a wonderful job, and the retirement board, I think it's important to note that we're comfortable coming before you with this now, as Will said, because of our strong investment gain position. Also, this does not, I think Jack alluded to it, not costing the town additional money. Our current plan calls for a 5.5% increase each year until we get to that almost fully funded stage in 2033 if this is adopted. So that does not change all the way through 2031. It's still a 5.5% increase. That is called the smoothing technique, and that was adopted by the retirement board because we know for budgeting purposes for the town that it's very important for you to know what that number will be, or around what that number will be. So as Will said, with the $14,000, we were originally scheduled to be fully funded by 2032. If you approve the $18,000, we will be fully funded by 2033. But the appropriation still decreases by 31% in 2032. So 5.5% increase through 2031. 2032 with a 31.6% decrease. And then in 2033, when we get to be fully funded, it would then go down another 35.6%. So it's about a 60% decrease for fully funding. Will also mentioned about, new employees. Those old employees, like Will and I, don't laugh, Scott.
Easy.
And Mr. Shea.
Hang on.
So we're all retired, and we were also, were you an 8%?
No, I was a 9.
You were a
full
9. I was an 8. I started when I was 12. George was a 5. So we, although we contributed that percent and the investment return on the money that we've put in is what generates the revenue for the town, for the retirement system. Those new employees, the 9%ers, and then they also pay an additional 2% on top of anything they make over $30,000. If you actually look at that actuarially, they're actually funding their own retirements, because the money that is withdrawn from their contributions every paycheck that go into our annuity savings fund and what we invest. And if you take a snapshot of that with the investment return, they fund their own retirements. So it helps. And Southbridge has seen a lot of turnover, as Will said, and those of us seasoned employees who no longer are working are gone. So, but we are very cognizant of the fiscal restraints of the town, and but we do feel very comfortable coming to you now at this time. Your treasurer is a member of our board, your accountant is a member of our board, and it was a unanimous vote of our board. Julie Pena, the assistant town clerk, is the other member, so.
Any questions? Council Cheney?
I think the important thing to look at is that basically retirement systems that are out there on the private sector, they get funded for their full value, most of them. Where in municipality like us, we get funded, we started at 12, went to what it is today. So, but still, as a retiree, I would love to see it full funded, but I know we'll never get to that point in time. But I think the 18,000 that they're proposing is a fair, and it helps. It helps retirees. I mean, Social Security, you get Social Security, you get your pay raise based on your full amount of Social Security, not a certain percentage of it. So I think it's a good thing for the community. It's a good thing for its members, and I'm going to support it.
Council Dow?
Thank you, Chair, to you, to Councilor Shania. So if we vote on the 18, can you put eggs on the bread?
I'll get you butter. I'll put butter on your toast.
Okay, thank you.
All right, serious question. So I just want to make sure I understand what these numbers mean. Right now, the base amount, what we base our COLA off of is $14,000, all right? And we are permitted to do 3.4%, I think you said?
3.0.
3.0% COLA maximum, correct? So, and that would be based off of the 14,000. So it didn't matter, if you got, I just want to make sure I understood what you said. If you received a $30,000 pension, but you'd only receive 3.3%, if that was what was appropriate, 3% COLA based on the $14,000, not on the $30,000.
Correct. To even make it, so it's interesting, the average pension is 28,000. So right now, on the average person, only the first 14,000 is subject to COLA. 3% on that 14,000, which is $420 a year. So if you have a pension of 14,000, your COLA is $420. If you have a pension of 28,000, your COLA is 420,000. If you have, let's say your pension is 56,000, 1428, which is 4 times, your COLA is $420 a year. It's only on that first 14,000.
Okay.
If you had there was like, if you were the top of the chain, let's say the town manager, and he'd been there a long time, his COLA would only be $420 on that $420.
Use Dean as an example, not me. He's the one that has the 6.
Yeah. Yeah, even
All
if
right,
his,
so-
even if it's
Yeah.
$100,000, it's only on the first
14.
14,000.
So this would be effective for fiscal year 26 then? Correct, okay. So, do we have an estimate, if we go to 18,000, how much additional money this will cost the town?
Yeah. As Pam said, it won't cost the town any additional dollars
Mhm.
for this year, 25, fiscal year 20. It won't cost in 25, it won't cost in 26, it won't cost anything additional in 27, in 28, in 29, in 30, no additional, be zero change. And then what is it, in 31? In 31, it will go up somewhat, and then it'll
No,
come.
in 31 it's still 5.5%,
Okay. Either way,
correct. And then in 32, it comes down approximately 32%.
I do have for the town council packet, the charts.
Okay,
That would be
good,
part of that packet.
it comes down, but not as much if you go with the 18,000. And then, I think in 33, is it?
Yes,
It-
it's
then
fully
it-
funded. Mhm.
It will be fully funded, and then you only pay the expense, which will be about half of what you're paying in all of these years as we're making up that unfunded liability.
We're also cognizant of the fact that, healthcare costs are going up, they'll continue to go up, that's a given. And I know for me, I'm retired from the town of Webster, and my base is $18,000, and it barely
Yeah.
covers the increase in my health insurance premiums.
For the town, it doesn't cover it. For the town, our policy went up $30, I think it was. We're at from 180 to 214.
That's a senior, that's a
Senior.
senior plan. I'm not old enough to be on a senior plan yet, so I'm still on an active plan.
Yeah.
I think there was a zing in there.
Yes, if I may, one more. So it's not a lot of money to these retirees. It's really, at 14,000, the COLA can be as much as $420, which currently, if you go to 18,000, the COLA can go up to $540 a year. That's $120 a year. It's not a lot of money. It's just a step in the right direction for these people, that's all. Yeah, and it barely it doesn't even match health insurance.
Council Lazo.
I'm gonna support this. Hopefully this subcommittee sends it up to council with a positive recommendation, but every so often, I've been around long enough, matter of fact, probably as long as Will, it's time, to catch up with some of the things that we do. We take it for granted that there it is, it's on the 14,000, it's on the 14,000. So for myself, retirees are a priority like everything else in this town. They need to be recognized. Health insurance, I always got a kick out of this when we would, as a council, give a police officer a 3% raise, and then their health insurance would go up 4%, so they got nothing. So in this case here, a little bit to catch up in the long haul, I think would be helping the retirees.
And remember what happens, as soon as you retire, I don't know what your active split is, 65-35? 70-30. So the town pays 70% of a premium, and the town, the active member, pays 30%. As soon as you retire, it goes to 50-50. So think about that.
Council Dell?
Thank you. I think it's great to look for all the people who serve and work at the town for the future when they retire. Look after them. When the only thing I have a little bit, I don't really agree when anybody, not only you, come here and say the other town we're getting this. No, come here say I want 20,000, but don't mention other town. I have no problem. Soon you say Boston getting $1, we need to match it. I don't like that. This is my opinion. Thank
Well,
you.
you pay part of my pension too.
Thank you.
You do.
Yes, just one thing. So in this report that we got from PARAC, they use these words, and I'm an employee of Southbridge. I'm still helping out in some regards. So I try to think of the big picture. What's the one, I mentioned a couple of things that are in this report that talked about a lot of turnover, new employees, and specifically they mentioned this is what it says. the gain is more than expected, primarily to do more turnover than expected. So you guys fight constantly. You have to compete with the Charltons and the Dudleys and all of this, the police officers and so forth. You compete in dollars, you pay them, you compete in benefits. And I'm not gonna say a policeman's leaving Southbridge for this, but it's all part of the whole package. You know, they look at all of it. I would look at all of this if I was them. You know, we all do. We look at the whole package. So, you know, retaining people is important.
Any further discussion?
Just for the record, I have included those, I also, to Council Dow's point, I did include though what all the other towns have, just for education purposes, so that you have it. It is gonna be part of the packet,
Yeah.
because that was part of the packet the last time in 2022, so I put
Yeah.
all that into the town council packet for you.
Unlike Councilor Dow, I do want to hear what other towns are paying. So, thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, if not, all those in favor? Okay, unanimous decision.
Thank you.
Thank you.
very
Thank
much.
you. Good job.
Mr. Chairman, do you think, this board, do you think they're gonna need to be there for this?
No.
I don't think
No.
so.
Awesome.
Thank you. Only if you'd like to come see
At
us.
Willie's age, you should go to bed early.
9 o'clock. Thank you.
All right, agenda item number 5, review and discuss the town clerk's request to opt out of early voting by mail for the Southbridge town election to be held in June of 2025 in accordance with the Votes Act of 2022 and effective as of June 2022, Section 25B, and to hold a public hearing. Entertain a motion to recommend to town council for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Jennier, seconded by Dow. Any discussion? Mr. Manager?
Madam Town Clerk, Madam Bonadies is here this evening. She put this request in about the early voting by mail. It's very costly for us to do this early voting by mail, and the returns do not justify the cost for our general election. So she requested that we go through the process of having a public hearing so that we do not do the early voting by mail. And this is a procedure for us to do that.
I did some simple math just this morning, and to mail out postcards, we have 14,798 voters. It would cost us nearly $9,000 just to mail out postcards. And then, once we get the postcards back, we have to mail ballots at $1.08 per ballot. So say even 10% would be like $1,700 on top of everything, and the numbers just don't justify vote by mail. And we have to have a public hearing according to Mass General Law in order to opt out of early voting by mail.
So this is a request for us to hold a public hearing so that we can get feedback and then put the motion before the voters. I'll move before the council.
Councilor Dow?
Thank you, Chair, to you, what's it? Ms. Maddie. Is that gonna affect the elderly, the olders?
No, it won't, because if somebody wants us to mail them a ballot, they can just give us a call,
Oh.
and we'll mail them a ballot.
Oh, they can do that?
Yes, yes, this
So-
is just to opt out of mailing out to every voter.
You don't have to mail it, but if anybody need it, you still will do it? Okay,
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Yeah, just to make it clear, you know, they can still call and,
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
thank
yes.
you.
Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor? Unanimous.
So we'll
Okay.
just have to advertise a public hearing and then have a public
Yeah,
hearing.
we'll set a date. I'll coordinate.
All right.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 6, review and discuss the town accountant transfer of $7,226.96 from account number 218-000.596500.80330, recycling revolving fund to account number 620130.497200, curbside enterprise fund. Entertain a motion to recommend to town council for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Motion by Jennier, seconded by Dow. Town manager?
Mr. Chairman, first off, if I could get a friendly amendment just to change the amount to $7,103.48.
Make that motion.
Second.
Amendment. Okay.
All right, and And this is, as you're aware, we've transitioned from to the curbside enterprise fund. We have a toter. This is the recycling fund for the toters that we used to collect money for. Mass DOR has contacted us. They're closing out, as we close out, I'm looking to certify free cash. This account popped up. You cannot have the revolving fund and an enterprise fund for the same activity. So therefore, we were looking to transfer the money from just for the toters. This is the balance that would then go into the curbside enterprise fund. And then from there, if we had excess balances, it would certify out to retained earnings over the years. So it's just an accounting mission to transfer those monies to a zero balance. And then the next motion was to close it. However, I'm going to withdraw that motion. We're going to have to propose an amendment to the bylaws to eliminate the total revolving fund because that's a bylaw. So we would have to go through the bylaw process for that. So we'll incorporate that at that, within the next couple of weeks to just have a repeal of the total bylaw and have the 3 readings and then the vote to repeal that from the books.
Councilor Chenier?
How come that money doesn't go back to the general fund instead of the revolving account? Why can't it go back to the general fund?
Because we cannot maintain 2 accounts, so.
I understand that, why, instead of going to the enterprise fund, why can't it go to the, free cash?
Because the purpose was for the same
Same idea.
so they've asked us to transfer it. This was from Mass DOR is asking us to do this. So that's their request for us to do this, to assist in us certifying free cash. So I'm following the guidance of Mass
Because
DOR.
the reason I say that is the enterprise fund is established now to take totals into account.
Correct,
And it pays for through that $115 fee.
correct.
I know it's only $77,000, but I just feel that we're adding money to an enterprise fund that probably doesn't need to even be there.
I'm concerned with the enterprise fund with the number of subscribers and everything, so any money that we
Okay.
can put into that account, I'd rather put it into
I
that account.
understand that now. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Okay. If not, then let's have a vote on item number 6 as amended. All those in favor? Unanimous.
Again, respectfully, I'll withdraw agenda item 7.
Okay. Then we'll move on to agenda number 8. Review and discuss an amendment to the town bylaws to add outdoor water use.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have Mr. Gregoire here. Thank you, Mr. Steve, for coming out tonight. So Steve can give more of the history of this than I can, but there's ongoing litigation for WMA, what is that?
The Water Management Act.
Water Management Act. So there's ongoing litigation because of the type of supplies we have. There's a group, I'll let Steve explain it. But part of it is we have to have a outdoor water use bylaw in place because the litigation is still ongoing. And by the act, we have to have this bylaw. So I'll let Steve come up if he wants to explain this. I've given some sample bylaws. This was more of a discussion to start. We have to have it probably in place by April 30th, but this was the first
Jim,
crack at it.
what's the bylaw supposed to do?
I'll get into it a little bit, but the state came up with their own revision to the federal law, which is the Water Management Act. Southbridge has no conservation in our withdrawal registration. We can do what we want with our water, and we have to be the stewards of our own resource.
Right.
It's been that way forever. Massachusetts and some of the Green Initiative at Capitol Hill decided to make a law that they feel circumvents federal law, to say that they can now impose restrictions upon systems like ours.
Even when we have an abundance of water.
Yep. So what the new law states is that basically if the drought task force, which is a new thing within the last 5 years, declares a drought in central Mass, if there's a drought in Fitchburg, the whole county goes into a drought, we have to put on water restrictions, even if we've got water going over the spillways.
That's just wrong.
It's crazy.
That's why we're in litigation.
So we joined a, it might not be a class action, you can tell me if that's the
Steve, our
best word.
study, when we bought the water company, our studies show that if we did a diversion of Natchez Brook, that we could service Sturbridge, Charlton, and West Dudley in worse drought conditions and never have a water problem. And to hear this, after living that, I'm sitting there going,
It's crazy.
It's great.
it's crazy.
So our watershed is rated for 4.7 million gallons a day of safe withdrawal. We are registered for 2 million gallons a day, and we rarely go over 1.8 million gallons a day. And because of this new law, it was basically, I'm not gonna lie, there were some bad actors in and around Boston that were overdrafting the Essex River. And it basically triggered a whole bunch of these green groups trying to finally get their hands on systems like ours that have no restrictions built into it. And they finally got enough support at the state level that
But
they
what if
passed
we
a law.
don't put a bylaw in, what are they gonna do to us?
They can put fines against our DP permit, so they could charge us with penalties at the state level to the water system. They haven't made it clear what that would look like, but
So why don't we wait till we see what that looks like?
I don't know if they're actually going to say it until they do it. They'll just come down on us, and it'll probably, if I had to guess, having never been through this sort of penalty, would be an escalating scale until you comply. It's usually how DEP works, which I don't agree with. So let me get to the other
Yeah,
part.
okay, that's fine.
So we're in this lawsuit with 20 other water systems that's being spearheaded by Springfield Water. And we failed at the first court level. They ruled in favor of the new state law. It's currently in appellate court. They're pretty hopeful that we're gonna win at appellate court, which would nullify the new law. It won't be in effect. The court ruling won't happen before the April deadline. This new law went into effect April of '23 with a 24-month grace period. We had hoped that the court would already rule by now, but it didn't. So, according to DEP sent us out a letter saying, don't forget, you have to comply with this new rule by April 2025, which basically just tells us we have to put bylaws into effect for water use restrictions for outdoor watering that line up with the Drought Task Force's mandates. And they want you to have a fine structure built into it for people using outdoor use, which we can choose what the fines are. They can be tiny fines if we choose to. I did reach out to some of our neighboring communities that don't have a registration like we do. They have a permit. Water permits have restrictions built into them. We're lucky not to have that. They have all told me that they have the bylaws on the books and they very rarely enforce them. Whether that's right or wrong, I know that our neighboring community, Sturbridge, only enforces it when, and I've seen it, when they have their water sign out on Main Street that says no outdoor watering and the sprinklers are hitting it in the morning. And they don't really have a choice, you have to do something about that. But there are some sample bylaws that DEP has supplied that I can share.
So in other words, if we put a bylaw in and if anybody violates it, the fine is $1 a year.
We could make it that way, I believe.
All right.
And I think for this purpose, it was to say, Steve and I, to start working to draft it so we could get it through the process. Get it on the books at least.
Legally, we're bound to have it on the books by April.
And then, because, we'll have, February, March to do that. Get it on the books. And then if we are successful in the suit, we could repeal
We
it.
would just send it, yeah.
Okay.
So it's unfortunate because we have even this summer, we had that really bad drought at the end of summer. We got down to 75%. I think 72.8% capacity.
It is,
So
yeah, so.
we had, as part of the lawsuit, as part of arguing it, we said, fine, if you want to put restrictions on, great, but don't use this broad stroke effect of Worcester County or any county. Let Southbridge draft a plan based on our levels, which I think is responsible.
Right.
And they said that they don't want to enforce that. They want it nice and easy for them. Worcester County's in a drought now.
Yeah, broad strokes.
Broad strokes.
So the fortunate thing is we are part of Springfield is really the driving force.
Yeah, they're paying 80% of the
So
lawsuit.
we, with all the other systems, we have a minor cost, so we have no problem paying our share of the suit. through the Water Enterprise Fund. So, I mean, we're just gonna continue marching on to hopefully see if we win this, but we wanna get this on the books and comply so that I'd rather have a nuisance type of bylaw than have to pay DEP fines.
So, I think we would want, I mean, I'm not sure, I should speak for everybody else, but in my opinion, I'm not a big fan of making burdensome regulations. I don't like regulations that are completely unnecessary. So, if we go, I mean, going forward with this, my preference would be to do something that is the least restrictive, that is still compliant. Because I did read the material, and there are, I guess, a couple of different options that DEP
Sounds like it, yeah.
provides, some being much more restrictive than others. I would go for the least restrictive option on that, and the minimal fines, since, you know, I don't, you know, $1 for one, $2, and $4. I mean, for the fourth
Maybe go
violation.
10, 25,
Yeah.
50, just so it looks a little bit.
I don't know, but it's,
Make a joke out of it, $1.
but you know, the point being that, you know, this should not be a huge burden on our residents, given the fact that we have plenty of water.
And I think our police have more than enough to do than go around fighting people. for
Yeah, I mean,
sprinklers.
this is kind of, to me, this is kind of like the homeowners association that's out there measuring the grass.
And truthfully,
You know?
if this had real,
It's-
if we put real teeth behind this, and we don't necessarily need to because of how much water we have in storage, we could drive our collections down, which would have all kinds of negative effects on the water rate itself. We'd have to drive the rate up to cover those costs, which is not a good thing, which is only going to hurt the people in the community that can afford it the least.
Right.
So the whole thing's bad. I'm hoping that we just win this and put it behind us, but I do agree with you. We should have the cleanest, I think, the lightest bylaws that they'll allow for this.
Right.
So we will work on that and we'll bring it.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, honestly, it should be at least a fee, a fine that is not laughable.
I did ask the attorney on this case today
10, 20,
if any of the other
20,
towns
40.
have done this already and they can
Yeah.
share what they've done.
Yeah.
I'm hoping we get some returns. I'm hoping everybody's taking the same method we are, of just keeping it simple.
Yeah, I mean, the simplest and the most. Councilor Bell?
Thank you, Chair, to you. I agree with Councilor Kelly regarding the fees. Lately, what I've been seeing, we put a rule in fees, and you hire someone and want to act like tough and start fine everyone and collect the fees for no reason. So I hope you consider that very low fee, because it's not fair. A lot of complaint from the residents, they're getting fined not necessarily.
So I won't really have any say on the fees. I'm just here to help when I can. Writing bylaws isn't something I do. So I would advise or contribute, but these are the fees that you all set.
I'm not gonna go the big fine.
So
This is because we have to,
Right.
not because I want to.
Right.
absolutely.
I think we'll be increased a lot. I think with the economy the way it is, and a lot of fee being a lot of complaint from residents about different things. I'm not saying this one is no fee yet, but people hurt. A lot of people hurt. And I asked the town manager to take a look, different department about fees and consider some kind of a break somewhere somehow for the residents. We're all struggling the way the economy is. Thank you.
So this fee would only these penalties would only be for people irrigating or outdoor water use is what they're trying to eliminate. They're not trying to tell people to use less water. They're saying don't water your lawns, don't wash your cars, the extra uses of water. So really it would hurt the people that can afford it the most.
Yeah.
But that's not what I'm here to debate. I'm just
Yeah,
Thank you.
okay. So we'll bring it up in a future.
Okay. Any
Yeah.
further discussion on that item? Okay. Thank you. Agenda item number 9, adjournment.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you.